Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Thanks for tuning in to the next episode in the series. If you've missed any part of this so far, please go back and get caught up to speed. We've covered a whole lot of good stuff here. Um, and if you are returning from a previous episode, thank you for the continued support. Today, we're going to talk about fonts and fonts in Android here. I'm going to go ahead and run our little app. But if we take a look at this layout file here, we can see, zoom in a little bit. That not only within the particular font family that we're using, which at this point is just the default that comes with the project. I believe it's a family of Roboto, the Android default font. You can see that there's some slight differences here in, I guess, the styling on that font. So Sali, the text here versus the text here, not only is it a different color and it is of a different size, it also if we take a look at the XML, has a different style here. So the title text view, Sali, is bold, whereas the description text view here actually doesn't have this attribute set, but really under the hood, that just means that it is normal. And so you can see here in this little drop-down or like auto completion thing that there are three different types. There's bold, italic, and normal. Whether you actually explicitly write normal in the layout file or not, it kind of just defaults to that, so it's going to remain that way. However, Sali here, let's just flip it back to normal real quick. You can see it over here, and then as I type it back to bold, you can see that it actually just bolds right there. On top of that, we have this being an example here, this little when to travel or whatever it was, the months to visit text view, their text style being italic. And you can actually see that a little bit more obviously here. This is just straight regular text, and then this has that little, slant to it that all italic text does. Let's see if this is up and running and we click on Sali. Yeah, everything we described right now is basically the same, but you can see that this is fatter, this is normal, and this is slanted. So we are going to go ahead and change the font here for this entire application. Give it just a little bit of a different feel, if you will, and kind of, I guess, customize the app a bit more. So we're going to do so by going to the resource manager. There'll be, a whole bunch of these, or there are a whole lot of options here that are selected, and normally it's just defaulted to the drawable. But if you click this little More menu, you can get to the font section, and then we're going to go ahead and add a font. And so here we have the source being Google Fonts, so these are all the fonts that I guess are supported by Google. And you can see immediately how different, some of them get. This being completely in script. And so we're just going to find one that, I don't know, looks a little elegant and nothing too crazy. All right, so we'll give this one a shot. Almendra kind of went through a little bit of them, and I don't know, this one kind of looks like it could be the feel I'm going for, not entirely sure. And then you can kind of see here the different, I guess, variants to the text that you'd be looking for. So we're just going to go ahead and click regular for now. We're going to say add font to project instead of downloadable font. I don't want to get into that right now. And then we're just going to go ahead and click OK. And so nothing's changed here yet, but you can see we've actually added our resource here of this font. And if you go ahead and double click it, it'll give you the little lorem ipsum of what the font ends up looking like. Also, if we take a look at our project here, we can go, sorry, I'm going to go ahead and just change this back to our project view because it's a little bit better. And then if we go into our resource folder, we have a folder here, font, and a .ttf file. Now note that you can just create this folder, this font resource folder within this parent resource folder and find any TTF file on the, from some other source and drop it in and then use that font. But if you want to just have an easy way to get a font or use a suggested font or a supported font from Google, you can do so through the resource manager. So if we go ahead and just add the font family Almendra to this okay, yeah, so it actually already supports the different ones. So we can go ahead and just see that on a particular view or text view, we can set the font family attribute, and that will change the font for that particular view. Now, in this case, or in this application, that's not really a big deal. You know, it'd probably take us a grand total of 3 minutes to go through the app in all the different areas that we have layout files and update the font family attribute in the text views that exist. However, that's not, what's going on here? That's not, I guess, the most professional, the most efficient way to do something. So now we can see Solly here has the different font, and all the other ones are the same. And if we were to just go ahead and choose font family or copy that attribute and go here, you know, we'll now see that, hey, that has a different font. And so if we paste the font family attribute here, here into the months to visit text view, we can see that it now has a different font as well. If you look closely, actually, you can see that it's kind of getting cut off here. So we can try to clean that up in a little bit. But right now, we're kind of exploring this on a view level, right? A view specific level where we're changing the font here. And so every text view that we would add, if we wanted to have this font, we would actually need to go ahead and add this font family attribute to that text view as we add it. But instead, there's actually a different way that we can go about this. That's kind of more so a blanket statement that just will apply, this everywhere. So inside our resource values themes.xml file, we have a style here. We haven't really talked much about the style, but this is the style that our application follows, and that is set. You can see here that in the application of our manifest, there is a theme attribute here, and we've actually set that to say @style theme.senya, which if we command click in, we can actually see that particular that particular style and what it has laid out for us. So there are certain things here as far as color primary variant, color on primary, and that's why this toolbar, or this action bar here, is the purple color, and this notifications bar is the darker purple. That's defined here by color primary variant. The reason that we even have an action bar to begin with is because we have our theme set to actually day-night theme dark action bar, which adds this action bar into our activity and styles it accordingly based upon the information that we've laid out here. So we can get into changing themes a little bit more in the future, but for right now, we're going to go ahead and add a particular attribute to our theme, which will be the Android font family font Almendra to the actual theme. Now you can see that even though this text view here has no font family, like we can override it and we can actually set it here. It does not contain that, but you can see that it's clearly a different font, and so is this one, and so is this, and that. So by applying this font family attribute in the themes.xml file and actually setting it up within our style that we've defined the application to have, we now do not need to update it. You can see everywhere that it exists, whether text exists, whether it's in this toolbar, whether it's this header view, whether it's this little guy, or whether it's something further in here. We've just literally changed the entire theme of the application just by changing the font style that exists here. So It's an interesting font. I don't know how I feel about it. It kind of gives off this medieval-y vibe that like could go well with this Dubrovnik and the idea of like what's that TV show that was filmed here? Oh man, Game of Thrones. You know, so it kind of has uh that little feel to it, which actually works for me. There's just a couple weird characters, like the T is a little wonky and stuff like that. But regardless, that's just me talking out loud here, and I don't mean to bore you. But clearly, this is the way to go. This is the more efficient way to go. This is the thing to do if we wanted to basically provide branding and a theme to our application. Uh, so I guess, you know, if you really wanted to, for some reason, change this back to a particular font, uh, let's see. Yeah, so they have a few defined down here. So if we just did the serif monospace, and then these are ones that kind of just default come with any project that you can select from, you know, you can do that, and then you can override it, and then for this particular text view, you know, this is the font family applied. But for our case, we wanted to make a blanket statement, so we're going to go ahead and do it at the highest level, basically at a config level that applies to all of the views that can have text or that draw text on the screen here. So that's about it. You know, this doesn't impact really anything else as far as any other functionality to the app or anything along those lines. All we did was kind of just put a little bit of theming on there on top of how everything was working. So if you like this font, go ahead and pick it up. It was called Almendra, but if you want a different one, you know, or play around with different ones and how wild some of them can get, you know, you can see, you can go ahead and import the ones that you were interested in here. But so that's about it for now. Changing fonts in Android is pretty straightforward for the most part, and if you're trying to do something as simple as this kind of a blanket change, then this is how you do it. So hope you learned something. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.